Dress for the arena. Trouble.
So I'd like to call our District of Port Hardy, I'd like to call our regular council meeting of Tuesday, September 12th to order. Respectfully acknowledging that this meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Quagga people, so Gaelic-Kessa. We have two delegates on the agenda, but one of them has is not able to make it, so that's Leslie Dick. So may I have the approval of the agenda as amended? Moved by Councillor Dugas, seconded by Councillor Tidbury. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the special council meeting held August 17th for adoption. Moved by Councillor Texman, seconded by Councillor Dorwood. All in favor? Minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held August 8th for adoption. Moved by Councillor Dorwood, seconded by Councillor Texman. All in favor? Minutes of the regular council meeting held August 8th for adoption. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Tidbury. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held August 22nd for adoption. Moved by Councillor Texmo, seconded by Councillor Dorwood. All in favor? Minutes of the special council meeting held August 22nd for adoption. Moved by Councillor Dorwood, seconded by Councillor Robertson. All in favor? Okay. So we have a delegate, Lillian Birmingham, president of Seawind Estate Strata. Would you like to come forward and have a seat? Come on up, so then. So thanks, Lillian, for coming.
Do I use this?
Oh, I will, if you just tell me to click it, I'll go there.
Sure. So Seawind Estates is a place you recognize, and a year ago you had a discussion about a request from us to make an amendment to the fence, which we never got a formal response to. I'm bringing it back to you today, next time. So why would we want to change? Isn't the present setup good enough? Next, thank you. Okay, I have the first reasons as very right thing, because these are important to us. Access deterrent. People jump the fence. You see, we are between the main community, the main business area, and there are some other multiplexes and so on behind us, which would give them a shortcut. Now, if we were quite happy with that, we actually have 10% of the people in the estates who do not have a vehicle, believe it or not, 2023, and they walk. So if we would even allow our own people to have good access, we would have a gate closer to the corner so they could go through. But we really do not want people jumping the fence. And Jamie, when I brought it up at council over a year ago, he said, oh, his 11-year-old does jump, he jumps the fence, his younger sister can't quite yet. So, you know, it's really not intended to be a playground. I ventured down towards the bottom. Our longer term owners have personally seen people jumping the fence, and I personally saw a non-resident walk through the estate. He just jumped over the 6-foot area. He didn't go to the lower part, so he's quite a good, and he hardly slowed down. It's like a high jump person or a horse jumper. At the moment, we have 4 units owned by RCMP. So right now, things are okay, but this has been a big problem and it will continue to be a problem. We also would like privacy. And I'm finding that the newer residents we have, or newer owners, because now over half the units are owner occupied, they're consistently opting to install a higher privacy fence. And one of the things they're finding is they have things they want to store, but they don't want it to be out in the open for everyone. So having those higher privacy fences are important to them. Next one, thank you. And the third reason, out of 8 reasons I've got here, I'm going to share a situation that happened that made me write to our lawyer. I've had one of our owners noticed a person kick a panel on our perimeter fence. This is on Granville Street. When he spoke to the man went berserk and did some substantial damage to the fence a little further on. The owner assessed the man to be high on something. We called the police, who came and got the man. Well, we never pressed charges. But my question is, if damage happens to our perimeter fence and a person sustains injuries, can we be sued? And the first words he wrote back is, it's known, oh, he's
Sorry.
one.
It's known as the Occupiers.
Occupiers Liability Act. And basically then he went on to look at the kind of things that they take into consideration. So it's possible that some person could put a, would not get, succeed in a lawsuit. But I was looking at the situations we have and I said, oh, yeah, there are some situations where we're vulnerable. And it's so, anyway, that was possibly after the guy went berserk. But okay, let's go on to the next one. So, believe it or not, we are interested in the parents. However, the Strata Property Act enables any quarter of voting owners to obstruct the expenditure of money involved in common property. This is particularly if we say, I want a new fence, I want to upgrade it. We do, as a council, have some responsibilities for basic maintenance. But this is important because here in Port Hardy, when a lot of our buildings were put together, we needed investors from outside. And so initially, a lot of our multiplexes had outside ownership, and they had legitimate reasons for saying, no more money, no more spending. I got to know Saeed quite well, who was an owner here for 12 years, and he said, he admitted that every year he owned a property at Seawood, he was actually losing money on it. So, you know, there's a reason they do that. But it also means then that because we can't upgrade as we need to, negligence happens and things get worse. So our bylaws obstruct the democratic wish of owners in a multi-residential dwelling, that is contradicted with the Strata Property Act concerning our owners. Now, the Strata Property Act says that the perimeter fence is common property. If we make a change to that, or we vote on that, any 3/4 of voting owners can approve the change. Now, an act, and the only subject to they have is the regulations. And the regulations are another set of laws or act, another act basically, that involves decisions at provincial level. There's, you know, these are part of BC law, basically. So a bylaw in legal terms is underneath an act. And because as people in a strata complex, we have the right to determine a fence because by the Strata Property Act, then one of the things we need to look at here is because you have a law, because you have a bylaw that contradicts an act, we better look at, you should be looking at your bylaw. Okay, so the current Port Hardy bylaw allows for 4-foot fence, puts us in a state of regardless of visibility. And that's unnecessary. We're not happy with the fact that our fence got run down, really run down. But when we come to the table with this background of outside owners who only allowed a certain amount of money to come into the district, we have work ahead of us to climb up. And sometimes it might be the infrastructure of the building that's more important than the perimeter fence. So, you know, we have to be looking at all those issues. But our request for a higher fence that, you know, that you can would approve has now already been over a year since we asked. And we're not satisfied that we have received an adequate response. Next one. Okay, cost. One thing about a strata fence, it will never be higher than it needs to be because people don't want to spend money unnecessarily, as in. And as I mentioned here, I think I've already heard it before, 3/4 of all voting owners must approve the expenditure. So, and one of the reasons I would come and we don't say this is the kind of fence we want is because the council has to decide what to take to the AGM. Then the AGM has to vote on it. And we can't do that unless, well, we have a conflict that says, you know, okay, you can probably try to sue us, but I don't think you would be successful. And then we could try to sue you, and we would be successful, but do we want to go there? So negligible maintenance. So one of the things we would like in a fence is something where we don't have to have ongoing maintenance, because that means you're spending time monitoring the condition, looking for weak spots, looking to, for instance, with our wooden fence now has a weed eater, the posts, so the posts are starting to rot out faster than they should be, and so on. Finding engaging people on an ongoing basis and paying out on an ongoing basis. So we prefer an asset that involves negligible, very little ongoing maintenance. Okay, next slide. I'll go to the next one. This was 4 years ago. Next slide. Also 4 years ago. Next one. And this was sometime in that 4 years. Next one. This was where the whole panel blew over in the wind. Next one. And just the general state, you know, it obviously needed painting. And one of the things, of course, that made it awkward is because you actually have more than one color there. Oh, how this can be quite tedious. Next one. Okay. And sometimes it was a shimmy job at the back. Okay, but there are more reasons. Noise mitigation is something I bring up that has become more and more significant the longer I've been associated with the estates. 10 of our 21 rental units are in the 2 buildings nearest the entrance. Now, that's nearest Granville Street. So these are the ones that get the most noise. And the people that I mentioned here that at the moment is renting 2 units in the estates currently. But I'm just talking about the people who have, and they are still on that thing, but not all of them are there now. But we have had in the last 4 years, and often two units at a time, nurses, paramedics, locums, new doctors. Now, a new doctor is kind of a short term, like a locum, as they're looking around for where they want to move to or what if they want to build. But a locum is someone who is only filling in for 2 or 3 months and then they're going to be leaving, and getting paid. So, you know, these people, accommodation close to the hospital, ambulance station, etc., is valued. And their irregular work hours often require that they're sleeping during the day. The nurses that I spoke to, none of them had had any vehicle. If the oldest one, I think, was probably old enough to rent, and if they needed to go somewhere or whatever, this was one person who would rent a vehicle. We had a work at home full-time web designer, also facing Granville Street, and probably one of the things, apart from the fact that we have nurses and shift workers sleeping along that side because it's a high rental area. He and another owner that faced that Granville Street happened to come to a council meeting a little while ago. And they couldn't, that it was on the other side of the estates. They said, why is it here? And we said, well, is it with you? So, if you take a map of Port Hardy, you look at where the residential neighborhoods are located, where the business district, where the emergency services are located, and look at the corridors. And you'll find that actually, you know, this was quite a high for Port Hardy traffic area. And basically what we're asking is no more than what the seniors complex had over here at 7300 Columbia Street. They have a 6-foot high fence around, and people who are wanting to cut through to multi-residential properties just behind them. So anyway, next one, thank you. And storage. This is something that's come up more recently, which means we asked for. Actually, when I brought it up to council to ask after we talked to the lawyer about our liability, it was instantaneous. It was 100%. Yes, we want a higher fence. We want it at 6 foot. So if you came back and said we can't have a 6 foot, I mean, it's we can only have a 4 foot fence. It would not get through the AGM. It would not be good. Everybody on council would be voting against it right away. And you know, it only needs supported to work. So anyway, but at a more recent council meeting, I was realizing that storage is actually an issue for us. And when I brought it up, just for discussion, it was like electrifying. Oh, wow, yeah. So I put it in, and this is one of the reasons why, as we're looking at it, we're thinking, is 6 foot going to be high enough? Do we need even 7 feet? But anyway, let's look at this. The way the buildings in the estates are set out, it's like a community, and then the parking is outside that. But where can we put storage? And basically we look around and it has to be near a perimeter fence. And so then we say, well, can we, you know, how low can the storage be to not be visible? And how high does the fences need to be so that it doesn't look like, well, what is this, a residential area or a storage thing? Can we come in and put us to store our stuff in here? You know, it's just, we don't want it to look commercial. And the second one, people in resident rental units, and this is again, as I said, the people nearest the entrance where their owners are the least likely to put up a privacy fence. It's a bugbear for some of our owners, because you come in and you have to go past what they have outside, that is, you know, outside furniture or whatever. And in Port Hardy, we have some stuff that's seasonal, and then, well, what do you do with the stuff that's out, you know, when it's not seasonal, so that we can just enjoy the stuff that is seasonal? So anyway, but this all could be mitigated with adequate storage. Next slide. So at the last council meeting we were talking about storage along that the Highway 19 side. But look at it from the primary healthcare side, it is just so visible. Even if we raise this Granville Street, which is the one that has to be the bylaws say 4 feet high. So anyway, next one. I try to get back down to closer to ground level to see what it would be like for cars going by and passengers and so on. But at least if it was a bit higher, foot traffic wouldn't be looking over the fence so much. Next one. Yeah, you can see that it's any person walking along can look over the fence as it is at the moment. Next one. And this is the entrance. This is just to give you an idea of how you can see there's some stuff that kind of can be considered clutter for a person who just wants things to look tidy in the estates. Next one. And you can see, you know, your barbecue and there's quite a bit of stuff there. So now I want to look at how some different fence options measure up to our line.
So, Lillian, most times the delegations are left to 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
I've just
if
got
you,
about 6 more slides.
so if you could speed it up to speak to what you want us to do, that would be great. Thank you.
So, this was after a discussion here with Ross. This was one of the options he suggested. He suggested trees behind it. Where we are, it's basically on rock and it goes down to the parking area. So trees cannot be a reliable privacy fence behind that. Okay, let's see how that stacks up against what our requirements are. Next one. So its pros, its access, deterrent, liability is fine and negligible maintenance, privacy, noise mitigation, storage needs. It's not meeting those. And the neutral is a wrong word here, but it's a one that cost and aesthetics. I'm not going to put it into a pro or a con. Next one. Okay, wasn't there?
The first one.
Okay, yeah. Wood if raised to 6 feet, because that last one, okay, that was the higher fence. Gives us privacy, access, deterrent, and storage needs a bit better there. Noise mitigation costs and negligible maintenance are cons. And aesthetics and liability, depending on how well it's maintained, it could look okay, it could look bad. Next one. Okay, this one, concrete fence is common if you've been down in Courtney and Nanaimo. You see these outside most multi-residential properties. Let's have a look at how that compares. Okay, access deterrent's fine, privacy's fine, no liability issues, fine. Aesthetics, the people that I've spoken to say, hey, that's quite nice. The cost, believe it or not, is one you'd think, oh, these must be expensive. And I was talking to the Pacific Rim assessors, these do depreciation reports, and they said, and we came back, the cost is about half to have a fence as to have a wooden fence. Negligible maintenance is a plus, noise mitigation is a plus, and we could put storage behind it. That's the end. Oh, and that's a 6 foot high fence where the lattice work is done. That's what we're looking at. We're not looking at something that's going to make us look like it's a prison or anything like that. It's just a little higher that gives us that privacy. And I'm finished. Thank you. I'm sorry I took so long.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So, sorry, Counselor Tidbury.
So I'm confused. What you're asking us for is a 6 foot fence, is that correct?
From permission.
Okay.
And we
And
know,
bylaw?
it's a
Yeah,
excuse me, thank you. This was brought to council last year, and, because it, doesn't meet the bylaws, it was, sent back to staff with the direction to meet with you to discuss other options because of, not meeting the bylaws.
So one of the things, if I may
Yeah.
speak, one of the things I brought up in this thing is that we have a right as members of a strata complex under the Strata Property Act to decide on a fence that's higher than 4 feet.
So, but I got that, and you said that our bylaws from the District of Port Hardy is actually below the Strata Property Act. So I would have to direct staff to find out if that's true, because what, our corporate officer, Blackwell,
Thank you. Through you, I can advise that that's not the case. The municipalities are governed by the Local Government Act. And local governments are entitled to enact bylaws that give effect to things like fencing through zoning, when it comes to interface areas, so property lines. Within a property, the Strata Property Act, and it entitles the stratas to establish their own standards for things like road or driveway widths and any other engineering services. They can do as they wish with regard to that within the confines of the property.
thank you.
Okay, so it's back to open site employers as well. And or else you'll sue us if we infringe the bylaws. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, business arising from the minutes and unfinished business, council action item report for information. Any comments, Councilor Darwood?
Yeah, it's not on here, but we wrote a letter to Canada Post.
Oh, yeah.
With the
Yes.
3 concerns on there. I know that they're big concerns in our community. I was wondering if we've had a response.
May I?
CAO Nelson Smith.
So it'll be on the next agenda, as well as the letter that we wrote, as reference, so that council is aware of what we wrote and what the response is. And we can distribute it ahead of time, but we just received it, so it's only not on this agenda, but you will get both on the next.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
I was just wondering if we get a little taste of the response.
not different, not dissimilar from the last response.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under correspondence, Maureen Schultz, addictions and recovery worker, Quagga Health Center, read the request for use of Carrot Park for a mix of, Auntie's Kitchen for the opening ceremony for ratification. This was, CAO Nelson Smith. I was just gonna say, we did approve this, by email, so it's just for ratification. And, we just need a motion, moved by Councillor Dugas, seconded by Councillor Robertson, CAO Nelson Smith.
Yes, so, thank you very much. The requesters of Auntie's Kitchen have also requested the use of Carrot Park directly across from, building blocks in order to continue this service. So every Tuesday, roughly from about 10 o'clock in the morning until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on every single Tuesday. They are going to be running a 5-day-a-week operation, and only one of those days will be within the district of Port Hardy. All other events will be held either west on Nappada or Quagga related lands. So they're just asking for a continuation of the opportunity to be able to continue to use that space at this point in time.
Councillor Dugas. Seconded by Councillor Robertson. So the motion is not only for the use of the Carrot Park for their opening ceremony, but for every Tuesday, for as long as they'd like, 11 to 1. Any comments?
I just think it's a great project. I
Yes.
think it's an awesome project.
So all in favor? Carried. Rebecca Bishop, Program Officer, Union of BC Municipalities for 2023 Next Generation 911 Funding Approval Agreement in terms of condition of funding for information. Councillor Gerwood.
Yeah, I had a question about what type of projects will this be used for? Do we know? Do we have any idea?
They have a funding, sorry.
Yeah.
They have a funding mechanism, agreement that kind of outlines all of the different areas in which we could use it. I know that there's some talk at the regional district level to pool all of the resources together in order to work together. So we basically had to sign the agreement in order to get them to release the funds and commit that we would spend the funding within the contribution agreement.
So we don't know at this time what sort of upgrading is required.
At this point, I don't, because the 911 has always been kind of managed through the regional district. So this is, we'll be getting the regional district involved.
Like cell service on the highway, of course, seems like it would need to be part of it.
And
What a good
it's
idea.
part of the
For
funding.
40,000 bucks, that's not a bad.
Excuse me, Councilor Robertson. Yes. Next item, Robert Jamel, President, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 237, request for a letter of support.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Dorr, second by Councilor Tidbury. All in, any comments? All in favor? Carried. Garth Holden, member of large Port Hardy Pride, read Pride Weekend Celebration for information. Anyone like to speak to this? Councilor Smith?
Yeah, so the Pride Committee it's actually collaborating with Sacred Wolf. They got a grant, so therefore it was later in the year as well, in September, and should be a really nice weekend for everyone. So it starts off with the Friday night that Mayor and Council is invited to do a vehicle procession through Port Hardy following the grad route, and then family activities at the Civic Center. Well, I guess it starts with a walk at Sacred Wolf, and then walking on the sidewalks down up to the Civic Center, and then 1 to 4 there'll be lots of events, and then there's an evening event as well for adults 18 plus. That is a sober event, so should be a lot of fun. We've got some comedians coming out, and a good DJs, and should be a nice time.
So if you don't mind, I know that you know a number of the people are on the committee. So the Friday night, although the mayor and council normally participate, we won't be here except, but hopefully a bunch of us will be down on the Saturday.
Excellent, yeah. I can let them know.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have no committee reports. Going on to staff reports. The Finance Department, August 2023, check and EFT listing report for information. Any comments?
Ouch.
Coach, yeah.
You didn't say it.
Must have hurt signing some of those checks.
Yeah. The pool got most of a big chunk of payments.
Yeah.
Around where anything gets.
It's good that there's that much work done though, so.
PC housing usually gets a big bag.
All right, moving on to bylaw number 1163-2023, a bylaw to amend the official community plan, bylaw number 15-2011 for adoption. Moved by Councilor Tidbury, seconded by Councilor Dorwood. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 1164-2023, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number, sorry,
I think if I could, I would ask council to actually not move final reading on this. This item should be pending completion of subdivision before it is rezoned
okay.
as a condition of rezone. So, the first one, the OCP amendment is fine,
Yes,
but the zoning component needs to wait.
okay.
Okay, so would we, sorry, pardon,
For information.
no, it wouldn't be for information.
So at this point, I actually don't know, it can't amend the agenda at this point. No action on it at this point, what would we do with it?
But there's no action.
Yeah,
No
no
action.
action at this.
Okay, Councilor Dorwood,
This gonna go into pending bylaws for a few years?
maybe?
Maybe.
That's up to the applicant.
Well, like whether it shows on this agenda or not, as a pending bylaw, like, item K, pending bylaws.
Yeah.
Just sit there for years potentially.
Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Okay. So we're moving it into pending bylaws for the time being.
Mhm.
Council reports, Councilor Smith.
There. The 22nd, we had the committee of whole in Canada, from the Bears tonight. On the 26th, I was at the North Island Music Festival. For the full day setting up, and right to the end, we were there with our Pride, event. But it was a great event. They had local talent and out of town talent as well. They even had, Kind of Wasted, which is the band that we danced to at the ABICC, I think it was. Absolutely excellent. Well done to the board and all the volunteers for that. It was really good. The 21st had a Port Hardy Heritage meeting. August 29th to 26th, I was off. My wife had surgery and it was a mini getaway. Got to go to P&E, haven't done that in quite a few years. So super dogs. The nights are bound. It was really nice. September 11th, we had a Pride planning meeting, and then today we met with Bear Smart, and we have some new development with our wild safe coordinator, which hopefully will be local. The one that was kind of sure what happened, but didn't actually. And then we have an event coming up, because we're going into, of course, hyperphagia season where the bears need to start gaining lots of weight for the winter. So we want to make sure everyone is prepared and doing what they can to help have them eat local, proper food, not garbage. Yes, that's my report.
Thank you. Counselor Texman.
Again, 22nd committee of the whole, and then the other thing I attended was the opening of Auntie's Kitchen down at Carrot Park. It was really good. I believe it was myself. You were there. You popped by?
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty cool the way that they set the whole thing up and explained what they're doing and why, and the fact that they did it on the day that it was pretty much touching. And I think it's such an amazing thing that they're doing, and that it's a lot of hard work in planning. What they really were showing off is how much work and planning over the year or two almost it took to get to where they were, and to see that blossom to what it is and how much it's going to help community members is huge. And I think it's great that it has everyone's support. So other than that, that's it for me. I've just been inundated with a crazy work life. That's it for me.
Thank you. Counselor Dorwin.
All right, attended the Regional District Mount Waddington monthly meeting. There was nothing really to bring back from there that stood out for me. On the 31st, with the opening of Auntie's Kitchen, I stopped by there. There was 3 other events going on as well. The Chamber of Commerce had a barbecue. There was KEDC had a Pack the Pantry barbecue, and the food bank had an open house. So
Wow.
that was all at
Within the 2 hours.
yes, 2-hour time frame. And I think I had another meeting that morning as well because I was late for the one thing. Anyway, yeah, it was great that it was a busy day downtown there. Attended the Fall Fair in Fort McNeil. It did seem a little bit smaller this year. I don't know if it was my perception or if it really was. So interested to hear how that went for them. Fire department meeting last night. They're having a membership drive with open house on October 14th. Put that in your calendar. They don't have the exact time yet, but. And then the Terry Fox run is coming up on Sunday. I know that everyone but me are headed to UBCM, so I'll do the official.
Brian will be
I'm
here.
not going either.
Do you want to be the part of the deputy mayor for me? Because I'm the organizer and I want to kind of hand it off to somebody, but
Okay.
anyway, I don't have to ask you. I don't mean to put you on the
Yeah,
spot
no, it's
here
okay.
this meeting,
If
but-
you kind of, yeah,
I'll send you a note.
we can chat after and figure it out. Yeah,
Okay, because I was
I'm
thinking
around.
everybody was gone, so.
Yeah, no, I'm around, so I can
Okay.
help out.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to carry on.
Oh, don't worry. It's okay. I'd tell you if I could or I couldn't anyway.
Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. Counselor Tidbury.
Not very much, coming to the end of my season, with my trips to Holbeck. Talking about the fire department, we did make a run to Holbeck,
Oh, I heard about that.
and we basically was, to keep an eye on the trees and the houses behind the house that burned down, so.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Incredibly lucky the power line wasn't right there. It was just low voltage. Otherwise it would have been catastrophe because it burned that pole and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, and it was the last one on the line.
Very lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy that little bit of wetness, you can see this trees were scorched behind the house that
Yeah.
it started a forest fire.
So we took engine 10 up there and, one of the, and it was so lucky it happened on a Thursday, not a Friday, because the Friday was the long weekend day.
Mhm.
So most people would have been away, because, definitely ran into a water problem. Shortage of water, but, everything, other than the house burning down, worked out just fine from the department's point of view. And that's basically all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Dugas?
I know.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I was happy to be able to attend, these kitchen and loaves and fishes and the Chamber of Commerce, PQ and KDC. He thought was awesome. It was very well done. They were all great. Pretty excited about loaves and fishes taking over the food bank. It's awesome. Yeah, they got a really good setup there. It's gonna be, it's all of that's really great for our community, obviously. Yeah, I went down to the fall fair and, what was there was great, but it seemed small, for sure. I mean, it seems to be dropping off on the enthusiasm, especially for the different things for people that make things and, crafts and gardens and whatever, even though gardening seems to be big on the North Island, it doesn't seem to be a lot of people there. Was able to attend with the mayor, our, Washington Regional District meeting yesterday, and, we had a gentleman, Chief, Jonathan Henderson was there and talked about that proposal for a new totem pole, like to get rid of or not get rid of, I shouldn't say get rid of, but replace the largest totem pole in the world. And so they're sort of putting it together right now and it's very interesting about the history of it.
It was.
And the other interesting thing about it was the carvers that did the initial pole way back when. He mentioned that there was none of them still alive because they were all elderly people that did that. So now they're starting to look at different people, but they're talking about reaching out to all the 18 different nations in our region, and that they would be getting opportunity to carve 10 foot of that pole. So it would be basically almost 180 feet high when they're done. And it should be pretty interesting. And I know that Dennis Buchanan was mentioning that he was there when they raced the first one. And he said that was pretty interesting experience by the sounds of it. He said it was pretty neat how they got it up there. And then they're talking about taking it down and having it put there at the same location or in a location close by, try to keep it so it's done. But I mean, it's gonna be a long process to get it done, but they're gonna be looking for support, obviously, from the RD and from us, letters of support. And so I'm sure that I'm totally in favor of that. I think that's gonna be awesome. Something really to look forward to. And the other thing is that we had a meeting for the of our group for the coalition for the, well, I guess it's a task force group now for sustainable power. We had a meeting there on I guess it was August the 30th, that we talked about, the group of us with our Indigenous nations talked about meeting with the ministry and about our concerns with regards to power in our area. And we had an opportunity to have BC Hydro there. Ted was there and had a little talk to us and explained to us about why they can't do what they're doing. But yeah, we still have an opportunity to go down and talk to them about that. But they have definitely increased their maintenance work with regards to vegetation along the line. And one of the things that Chief Nelson always talks about, knock the crazy trees down so they can't hit the line, and we're good for 90 years. So get at it. And they have been working on it, so it's made some improvements, which is great. Like to see that. Had an opportunity. Thank you to the mayor. I will thank her again many, many times on this one. That yes, I am involved with the Health Table of Partners and I should be at the meeting. So thank you. And yeah, we had a great meeting and there was a lot of people there. I know Fred was there, Pat was there, and we had an opportunity to hear a lot of people, what's going on in our community, which is really exciting. And it sounds like, according to what they said in the meeting, that we've got a new doctor in Hardy in place now, and there'll be one coming in towards the end of September, so that's really good news for us. You know, we got a lot more, hopefully good news coming in the future with regards to staffing in our particular area, but as we all know, we're not the only community in the North Island or in the province or in Canada that's not suffering the same fate, unfortunately. A lot of people out there. We had also a meeting with the OpenNet Penn transition in our council chambers here just the other day, and we had a number of our council here with us, and I'm sure that the mayor will talk about it a little bit, but yeah, transition plan. We still haven't figured that one out yet, but I mean, they're working on it, so it seemed like the information they brought to us to the table that day was basically the same thing they talked to us about before. And they're looking for different ways and means that we could be a part of that solution. But the solution is, let's make it work together. That's the plan. On our part anyways, and not forget that our local Indigenous nations have a big part to play in it too, so. And one thing that she did mention though, that was kind of interesting, she said that they had, please correct me if I'm wrong, she said they had hundreds of meetings with our Indigenous groups, but we've only had the opportunity to meet with them twice. Which I thought was very interesting, that we know that there's a lot of people interested in talking to them, but when it comes to local governments, as we always know in the past, we haven't always been right at the table with all of this stuff. Yeah, you were up for?
Yeah, I've been on.
I would had only a couple, but I missed a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we were that one Campbell River too, weren't we? I think we were at Campbell River and talked.
No.
I was at one time.
Two or three online.
Phase 1 and phase 2 and then 3, and that 3 was redone.
I missed one. I missed one. I was one at Campbell River too.
But
with,
we just saw we've been to-
When I was with ERD there, we went down to Campbell River to talk about, so I've been at 3 so far. Yep. Very small. But anyways, I could go on forever, but I'm not going to, because I know that I need some time for other. So
Well, good.
I'll close it.
Dennis took up all my time.
Go ahead, Councilor Robertson.
Oh, not much. A number of library board executive meetings, and there's a general meeting on Saturday, and we'll soon see a library levy. The budget will be finalized, I think, on Saturday. And we'll see the levy coming shortly, I think, in time for our budgeting process. And it should be a reflection, I imagine, of what inflation has been in the last week. So I was also at the Mount Waddington Health Network Table of Partners, and our council had a very good representation there. None of whom could stay very long, but we'll want to sort that one out eventually. I think I did hear that there was a physician coming in the spring too, that they had one in the spring too. And I was also at the transition plan discussion, and at this point, there is no certainty, and I think that's the way that we're looking for more, is some certainty in terms of letting industry get on with improvement. Anyway, that's me. Thanks.
Thanks. So, I was at a number of the different meetings that everybody else was at. I think I'll start with the fall fair, and I did hear that one of the organizers, they were disappointed about the number of entries for the fruit and the vegetables and all the rest of it, and they're hoping that it's just a phase, and that next year that it will be bigger and better. But with it coming to Hardy next year, I'm hoping that we can really make it more enthusiastic and really pump up the social media of it and help them out with the planning, but we'll see how that all goes. While I was there, I don't know if any of you went to the Western Forest Products display, and that was really interesting how they did their display. I thought that was probably one of the best displays, and I was looking for the Glen Lyon fire and saw the pictures of it, and I thought it was very well done. Was at the opening of Loaves and Fishes, and they with their taking over of the Harvest Food Bank, and as well at Auntie's Kitchen and the KDC Food Drive, and having those events all on the same day as the National Day of Opioid Awareness
Mhm.
was very, not a good day to have it, but a very poignant day to have it, and, making people aware of all the people that have passed because of, opioid overuse, and, not only in our community, but other communities. And I was at the Chamber's second annual barbecue, and that was very nice too. I've been on a number of calls with BC Wildfire and about the drought and the wildfires in BC, and our community has been very fortunate at that. We've got a little bit of rain, still not enough rain. We're still on drought level 5. I cannot stress to everybody how the little bit of rain that we have is not, it's not made a whole lot of difference to the creeks, and, our fish are going to be in trouble if we don't get more rain so that they can get up the rivers better.
I think it's coming though.
Mhm.
Cooling off, let's say.
Cooling off. But you know, in other areas of the province where it normally cools off, it's heating up, and fires are picking up. One of the other meetings, not only was I on the about the transition plan, but the next day I had a meeting with the BC salmon farmers, and they're talking about some of their advocacy and what they're doing, and they are feeling a little bit more positive with the new minister in Parliament, and so they're hoping, fingers crossed. So as well, I'm sure many people know they've seen the press release on our organizational changes, and that our director of operations has left the community, but we will be posting for other positions. So if anyone in the audience is interested, stay tuned. But I also wanted to acknowledge our corporate officer and deputy CAO, Ross Blackwell, who his last day of work is September 15th, and today is his last council meeting. So I wanted to thank you very much for all your hard work, and wish you good luck in your new position.
Mhm.
And we'll see you next week. Moving on, information and announcements. Is there any, excuse me, is there any other, anything else missing from there? All right, no notice of in-camera meeting, motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Smith. Questions pertaining to the agenda.